since getting my podcast launched, I've just been like purely focused on getting the Instagram going for that, and I've like not uploaded a video in over a month.
Uh,
But that's probably like okay, because now I'm gonna have like a nice little boost once I do, and now this is gonna
okay,
get me to upload.
this is cool. We're live on YouTube right now,
Are we? Yay!
so that's cool. I've got that set up here, so I don't know what. We'll see if I get any chat. I've just decided to do it this way, so we'll see if that happens. It's a little bit of a lag, but I think it's definitely whatever. That's cool. Okay, so we're recording
Sweet.
on here. That's good. I'm gonna plug into TikTok. And I also realized that I do not have any like structure set up for any of this, so we're just going to run it the same way we did the last time.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we do. I'm going to talk about a little bit how I use astrology in my business. Then I want to kind of have you piggyback off of that like we did before. I think you talked about like using the moon and things different like that, other additional tips. And then for to do readings and stuff. If that makes sense.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm not going to be able to hear you in a little bit unless you're on YouTube, unless you're on TikTok.
I am like. Do you want me to hop on? I mean, I have the app open.
Okay, so make sure I guess swap over your ear. Let's just go live and we'll figure that out, and then we'll worry about everywhere else. I just want to make sure we don't lose your
audio. That'll stay on
okay.
there.
So we're gonna get out of this. I gotta open up. Oh Jesus! Oh my God! All the way up and blasted my ears as soon as I swapped over. Okay, so hold on. We're gonna. Go live.
I can hear you through my computer. That one.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going live right now. Then we'll add you in as the co-host. Look at this. We're only 2 minutes over. This is cool. Good. All right. We're doing good. Right now. Then we'll add you in as the co-host. Look at this. We're only 2 minutes over. This is cool. All right. We're doing good.
I don't know.
Hey, how we doing? Just getting ready for Ryan to join us here on TikTok, and then we're going to be going live. We're actually live on YouTube right now, also on our Discord server. So that's cool. This is our first time actually going live on YouTube at the same time. So that's an interesting feat. So we'll see what that looks like later whenever hopefully everything records and doesn't jack everything up because, retrograde's still lingering for me. I don't know about everybody else.
I am live.
She's slow moving.
Right?
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and invite. There we go. So then we'll make sure I can hear you on here. Hi, everybody. How you doing? I'm Eric. I'm a creative director out of Sarasota, Florida. We're getting Ryan to come in. Yes, sweet. Ryan's coming in. Here he is.
Yay!
Cool. Hey.
Awesome.
Hey. Okay, so I'm gonna mute on my end, and then if you can just connect your audio on TikTok, and then we'll be good, I think.
Yeah, I'm set.
Great. All right, and then if you'll go, can I still hear? Can you go ahead and talk for me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. So I can hear you on TikTok.
Okay, cool.
Can everybody hear us without an echo? Just want to make sure everybody can hear us without an echo. Anybody out there listening, let us know. Okay. Your computer's muted, Ryan?
Yep.
Okay, great. And it looks like I'm still... You want to go ahead and just do a test for me? I want to make sure I'm still pulling your audio from your mic.
Yeah. Test.
Okay,
test,
great.
Test.
Perfect. Yay, sweet. Okay, cool. Everybody's here. We're only 4 minutes late. I love that. That's awesome. Okay. We're on...
Hi!
Hi.
I forget we each other's comments, right?
No, we can't. So if you get anything in there, we're gonna have to keep an eye on
Yeah.
that. So everybody, I'm Erik Quigley. I'm a creative director out of Sarasota, Florida. I own an agency called Uncommon Crowd. And we're here with Ryan Marquart of Ryan's Astrology. So he is I'm just gonna put you in the designer creative turned astrologer, which is why we connected in the first place, because I was like, oh my God, somebody that knows what we're going through, but now has gone into astrology, and I use astrology in my business all the time. So let's talk. So, but we're going to be talking about using astrology in business because I use it in my creative business all the time. At a super low level, he gets far more in depth with it than I do. But we're going to talk about how you can use it in your business. And then we're going to take some readings. So if we'll let you know when to put in your information, but to be able to do that, we're going to make them super mini, super mini, probably 5 minutes or less if we can do that.
Yeah.
So we'll have time for, a fair few. But when we get there, we'll put in what information you actually need to give us, and then we'll go from there. So anybody that has any comments on TikTok, please let us know. Any comments on YouTube, please let us know. We're happy to answer those, but we'll just get to them as we get there. So Ryan, I don't know if you want to give yourself another little intro, unless I just took that from you. But
oh no, you killed it. I'm Ryan Marquart.
Okay,
I'm an astrologer. Used to be a creative, so I'm very much like from Eric's world, but not in it anymore. But I still very much appreciate it and
yes,
the,
sweet.
the struggles you deal with.
Well, yeah, yes, no, you're aware, like you get it.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about, like I said, we're going to talk about astrology in business. There's 3 major ways that I use it in my business. And actually, let's just spin off of what has just come to a close and is still raking me over the coals, because I feel like she just took her shadow week and said, no, we're going to give it to you all now. But we just finished up a Mercury retrograde. If nobody's familiar with that, or people aren't familiar with that, do not do anything in a retrograde. In my opinion, don't do anything. Business-wise, tech-related, launches, things like that. I always try and steer clear of those, just because I have had too many times where I've had to restart things, redo things. My original business, I had to reformulate. I had to redo my LLC because I started initially in a retrograde. So,
Oh
Ryan, do
no.
you want to? I know it was awful. So, you want to give your input on just retrogrades and business in general?
Yeah, like those. The most common thing I think is Mercury retrograde for sure. You want to be careful to not, sign contracts, launch a business, enter any sort of agreement, launch a product, a campaign of any kind. It's good to edit stuff. Like retrogrades are not bad. It's great to
Yes.
rework things.
Yeah.
But you don't want to like launch anything new. And I think like the one that like is pertinent that's coming up this year is the Venus retrograde, because that's another one that's like it's not as common as Mercury retrograde, but
Yeah.
it's a biggie and really can more so impact like your finances and your dealings with other people versus like communication or tech malfunctions or like logistical issues. That's more of a Mercury thing. But Venus retrograde can really put you in a hole if you're trying to pull big moves during that. So
Oh,
that'll be
did not even know about that. So there's a
yeah.
little good tidbit for you to watch out for. It's just I thought we were good on just Mercury retrogrades, but never mind. They're all over the place. And if we can actually, you want to explain, because I do a horrible job of this. Somebody asked me the other day, and I was like, I don't know that much. I just know that it just doesn't work for me. But can you explain what a retrograde is, like what's physically happening? Because it's a little bit of a mind twist.
Yeah. It's just an optical illusion. So it looks like the planet is moving backwards. Like you'll see it kind of like come to this stopping point and then it like basically turns around and moves backwards. It's it's not really moving backwards. It's just like a weird phenomenon with the orbits of the planets. Like the best way I can liken it is like, when you're on a treadmill and you're like on it for a while and then you get off and the room feels strange and you're walking
Oh,
but like things
wow.
are kind of like looking like weird, like
Yes.
it's that same thing where you're just like something's off right now with the of myself or the
Yeah.
room.
That's a really good way to think about it. Okay, great. Then I wasn't okay. So now I know how to explain it the next time that somebody asks me, well, what is that? Because it's always the people that aren't into astrology at all, and they're like, yeah,
Hmm.
right. What's that? And then I'm like, Mercury retrograde, da da da, and they're like, well, what's actually happening? And when I have to go, well, I don't know. I just follow it. They're like, oh yeah, whatever then. So it'll give me something to pull out the next time. The other thing that I always do, and this is kind of piggybacking off of that, is just transits and aspects in general of what's kind of happening, like bigger, planetary movements, or new moons, full moons, those kind of like big, like heavy hitters, like new moons good for starting things, full moons good for closing things, just kind of those like basics. But if you can kind of expound on kind of how that works and just what transits, aspects, how the moon works, all those things in relation to business would be good.
Oh, totally. Um, Basically, as the moon grows in light, anything you set forward has momentum behind it. It's always best to kind of try and launch a business or a product or get anything going really right after the new moon. When there's a new moon, the moon looks dark, right? Which means there's no energy actually happening. So you usually want to wait a couple days when there's a little sliver of light on the moon and it's really
Yeah,
starting to grow. Then you just have this huge momentum. After the full moon, the moon's fading in light, which is really cool in business, but more so like it's a reflective state. It's where you want to like have like a team reassessment, like look at the performance of any project that maybe you put out the door during the new moon phase. Um,
that
and
makes sense.
refine things or teach. Yeah, it's a good teaching phase as well, I guess. Education related content. If you're trying to just educate people on your
Sure.
business, that's good too.
Okay. Well, actually, and that just makes me think about this because there's, if we look at this from like a non-believer perspective, if we can talk about like just the actual like implications of using astrology in your business and like how viable that is, like how, I mean, I'm sure you've seen plenty of people, plenty of business people. I used to work with an astrologer that worked with a lot of people on like Wall Street and things like that, and like what the like what the viability of actually using astrology in your business is, or how you see it. Is that a
Uh
question or a thought?
no, I yeah, I mean it's a hard thing, but it's funny because like the a lot of people use it or really believe in it. Like I would say like probably the biggest market that I see it used in is financial markets.
Yeah.
A lot of like stockbrokers will especially use the moon for that stuff. But I
Really?
think it's hard. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like the new moon, full moon like phase is very much tied to markets. But then there's also
Is that
something
like a
called like
buying selling kind of thing then?
yeah, and like
Really?
just yep. And it kind of works as well with like just a company kind of profit losses as well. I don't want to get too technical, I guess, but like yeah, you can there are specific points where it's been studied and there are going to you can expect even if it kind of varies depending on your situation, your company situation. It's like say you're doing well. There are certain things the moon will do that pretty much indicate, all right, well now it's going to flip the opposite direction, and you're probably going to have like a really bad couple days coming up here. If you're doing
Oh.
poorly at that same time, it can flip in your favor. It's something called perigee and apogee with the moon, where it's as close to the Earth as possible versus as far away from the Earth as possible, while also in the new moon, full moon cycle.
Oh, wow.
It's weird.
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, that's the one thing with astrology that I continue to learn is that there's so many nuances and so many like intricacies to it that like you can't just. It's like I think most people's experience with astrology is their sun sign, right? I'm
Mhm.
Sagittarius. You're.
Gemini.
I was gonna say you're Gemini. Yeah. Um, that's the heavy hitter that people are always like, it's my sun sign, whatever, and they're kind of like, well, that only kind of I only hit a few little things that really means, and it's in looking at the holistic nature of your chart and these things like apogee and epigee, is that what you just said,
Hmm.
of the moon in
Apogee and
relation to
perigee.
perigee, whatever,
Yeah.
in relation to full moon, new moon, like that whole thing, like the intricacies that come along with it are really where you start to see kind of the bigger benefits, at least to me. You can't just kind of label it with these, one-offs. So
Totally. Totally. Yeah. It's not really a one size fits all. Feel out the rhythm, I guess, of your own business with what's going on. And then
mhm.
it gets really specific and predictions can get really accurate once you kind of understand how it's showing up for you, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, the other thing that I tend to do, and just coming even just back off sun signs, right? Like I generally use those in my buyer personas where I'll say, here's like a really specific way to like boil down, who somebody is, um, which is probably it's stereotyping is really what it is, but that's what we're doing anyways with buyer personas, right? So like I'll put in there like they're a Pisces or whatever it is, and just gives this kind of overarching thing. So that's another, anybody that's listening, especially if you're in branding. That's a thing that started to help me because people get it right away. Um, and it's always fun. People love, I don't know, regardless of being into astrology, they love like the quote unquote mysticism of it, which isn't,
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before. It's like the mathematics of woo for me, right? Like
Totally.
it's based on centuries of patterns. So, but I don't know. So, is there anything else that you utilize or would recommend people utilize when it comes to using business astrology in business, or some things that, and even things that can really understand, right?
Yeah. I would say like two really big things. One of which I know we've talked about. The other one I don't think we have talked about, but I'm like in the one we've talked about is the 10th house. That's the house of career, public image, status, reputation. Like everybody knows what's going on in your 10th house. It's kind of like your brand out in the world. And so on your personal birth chart, but also your business's birth chart, because your business has a birth chart, which can vary. Like maybe it's the day you filed for the LLC, maybe it's when you got accepted, maybe it's the day you opened up shop, whatever. There's We can play with it, but like the 10th house is going to be huge. Like anything that's in there immediately becomes important for the reputation of in the business. And so what those planets are doing, or what planet rules your 10th house, what you want to pay attention to those planets at all times, but then also anything that's just moving through the 10th house in real time for you is a big deal. Like Jupiter just entered Taurus, which can totally expand your finances. If that's happening in your 10th house, this could be like like record breaking year for you with like profits in a business
Oh,
if you have
okay.
Taurus in your 10th. Yeah.
Okay.
um so that's really, I let just the 10th house is just overarching huge longer term trends. And then I think the other thing is something again with the moon. It's called void of course moon. And oh my god, your business has a birth chart as well. Yeah, it does. um
We're going to go
Void
back
of
to that. So hold on to that thought. Yes.
yeah. We'll come back to that. I'm so happy you're here. I haven't seen you in so long. Oh my gosh, we need to catch up. um uh there's something called void of course moon, which is so interesting. um Basically it's when the moon has made its last aspect with a planet before it changes signs. So it's like, say the moon like came into a conjunction with Jupiter in Taurus, and then it won't make any other aspects with other planets before changing signs and moving into Gemini, right? Which it changes signs every 2.5 days. So this is common. It's called void of course moon, meaning like it's an unaspected moon and it's gonna change signs. That can last like a day. It can last a couple minutes, a couple hours. But the void of course moon is like you should not take meetings. It's sort of like a Mercury retrograde, but in these mini spurts
But
that can
mini,
happen
yeah.
every couple of days. But it's a very like ancient thing. Like a lot of astrologers, even to this day, won't will like block off their calendar during a void of course moon, which is honestly not super logical, or it's not easy to do because sometimes the
With
void
the
of course moon is going to
frequency.
take up an entire Monday. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
you might just be
Yeah.
like, I can't work all day on Monday. Like
Yeah.
that's a privilege to like I guess be able to honor the
Yeah.
void of course moon in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Actually, so I'd heard of, I didn't know it was void, of course.
Yeah.
I always just heard void moon. Either way, it's cool. But I'd never, never thought about that before, which I had no idea. And the 12th house. So I got a couple questions actually. So back to, and this is going to the business birth chart, right? Um, when you're determining a business birthday, you said it could be a couple of different things. It could be the day you form your LLC. It could be the day you open up shop. It could be a multitude of things. How do you, or what's the best way of determining what that birthday is? Like, is it
It
just so arbitrary that you're like, this is what I'm feeling in my soul? Or if it's like, this is, you know what I mean? Like, how
Yeah. I
tactical can
know
that be?
it's weird, right? Because like astrology is perception. So it really is like, well, what do you perceive the birth of your business to be? Like, where do you feel like that actually launched into the world? It's easier with a brick and mortar shop. Typically, you're going to say doors opened at this day, this time, you know?
Yep.
A lot, I would say when it's not brick and mortar, most people will go off of like the day they were approved with their LLC. They got that email, they've got the specific day and time. It's super accurate then. Like for
Okay.
me with my astrology business, I did it the second I set my like website live where people could
Okay.
literally submit payment through my website. I was like, I'd been practicing before then, but I like once I became like really official, I was like, this is it. This is the, and then
Yeah.
I timed it out, and that's what I use now.
I think that's generally what I do. Is that, you know, because I've got my LLC situated, but at least with brands and things like that, clients that I'm working with, usually I'm very honed in on the launch of the site. Like when you're putting the flag in the ground and going, hey, I'm here and the world can now see you, when it's out of like ideation phase, that's
Mm.
generally when I'm choosing it.
Hmm.
But it is interesting that it's total perception. It's going, okay, how do I feel? It is how I feel about it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
what's, yeah.
Some
Um,
people will do it when it's like they've concepted the idea like at home with like a business partner, and they're like, we had this idea this night, you know, like, and
yeah,
that's when it was born for them. You know, it wasn't official
yeah.
though.
Interesting. So it's really whatever becomes strongest and makes the most sense for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Rule of thumb, we could give a, I'm going to give a rule of thumb here. I'm going to go, if we're talking about business, two big indicators, three indicators would be LLC formation approval, brick
Mm-hmm.
and mortar like ribbon cutting,
Yeah.
and website launch
Yeah.
would be
Like, or yeah.
three big
Yeah.
things.
For like an online. Yeah. 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 Yep.
Okay, yeah, okay, that makes sense. The other thing that I wanted to ask about is, so the 12th house, houses have always been very like convoluted for me. They've always been like, oh my God, what's that? When you start to dive into astrology, you're like, oh my God, where does it end? But which is why you need to hire someone like Ryan to read your chart, because seriously. But if somebody wanted to go and see the significance of something in their 12th house right now
Uh-huh.
without an astrologer,
Mm.
do you, is there something they can do to do that, to figure that out? Is there like an online resource? Is there some place that they would be able to kind of find that out and get a general
Yeah.
understanding of it that you know of?
Yeah, like for the I would go to like I know astro.com is probably the most robust website. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it's got
No, it's not.
so much capability.
Yeah.
It's not like the app I recommend always is Time Passages, but they're only going to have a good interpretation for your 12th house if you have something placed in the 12th house, like a planet in
Gotcha.
there. They're not going to be able to read into it.
Okay.
Otherwise, I would say like just like use astro.com or time passages or anything to just at least figure out what sign is in your 12th house or on the 12th house cusp, and then look it up, google it, get an astrology book, and most astrology fundamental books and like tons of information online of like what the all the different signs and all the different houses, what do those combinations mean. And then if you have a planet in the 12th house, that's even more important to say like I have Jupiter in the 12th house, like look that up, what does that mean? Or I have Jupiter in Taurus in the 12th house, what does that mean?
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good. How do you feel about CoStar?
uh you know, I don't like it. I don't use any of those apps to be honest. Like it's, you know,
Yeah, sure.
it's not for like I guess a practicing
Well,
astrologer
you
that's
wouldn't. Yeah, no, obviously
right.
you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You know, is it?
They
Yeah.
I like they're funny. Like they I
Okay.
like I think that they're funny. They use a really weird system called Regiomontanus, which like I would say 50% of astrologers use whole sign houses. The other 50% use Placidus. Nobody needs to even know what that means, which is a different way to view your chart. They
Yeah.
use a system that's like the founder's family used it, I guess. She's like a something generation astrologer. But it's like nobody uses that system. So it's bizarre. And so a lot of people's charts kind of end up not actually being what I would use, you know? And so they'll
Okay.
come if people if that's your knowledge and you go to an astrologer, a lot of astrologers are going to be like that's not like
It's a
what you
little off.
think your chart is probably not like where I'm going to take it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, okay, so going to astro.com, finding where it's at, and then going kind of doing double research on that. Because I will say, when you, and we're going to get into some mini readings, so everybody listening, hang around. Um, when you explained what was going on in my 12th house, I was like, well, duh. Like, it makes total sense knowing what I'm doing now and why I love doing what I'm doing, especially for somebody that's doesn't know what they want to do career wise or
Yeah.
doesn't know what they want to do with their business or whatever. It became a really big indicator of like, yes, I'm on the right path. Like, it makes a lot of sense for me. So I could see, especially somebody coming from zero, it being a really big thing they could lean into and start to kind of formulate what they're doing from there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was just super surprised. So I don't know if you have any questions on yours. Do you have any questions on your TikTok?
Uh no, I just got people like saying nice things. You
Oh,
must be
okay.
Pisces. I'm not Pisces. Um you must be Pisces. Huh. Um business has a birth chart. Yes. Uh thank you Crystal here. Um no
Okay.
questions
Well,
thus far.
I do have a question from somebody, Crystal C829 on my end, uh, about what we would tell a beginner. So I want to take it, I guess, from I don't know if we want to talk about this as astrology in general, or if we want to take this from the beginner perspective in business.
Mm.
Maybe leave
Uh
you to that.
if you're talking astrology in general, there's like I would say I have a books playlist on my TikTok that you can go check out. I literally like
Go check it out.
tried to say like what I think are good fundamental books. My personal favorite is The Inner Sky by Stephen Forrest. He's an evolutionary astrologer. I don't practice evolutionary astrology anymore. I use some of it, but like it just that book puts astrology into this perspective that's like blew my mind. And you want to read it front to back. Like a lot of people will read an out. This is a universal rule. A lot of people want to read a like kind of beginner's astrology book by like just jumping straight to their placements. Right? I'm gonna read my sun sign or whatever. Don't do it. Like especially if you're doing the inner sky. But a lot of kind of show you how the signs build on top of each other. Like they follow like a developmental cycle. So you really learn about the entirety of astrology by going through the whole story of the zodiac, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so I think follow it in order is important. For business, I would say really the like I mean, I think you kind of nailed it at the start, honestly. The big things are like new moon, full moon, like just to keep it simple for a beginner, like just to start
Mhm.
experimenting. New moon is when you want to like hustle, put things out the door, launch the business,
Mhm.
while the moon's growing in light. After the full moon, when it's decreasing in light, you want to reassess, just more so like almost like repeat things that were already put out. Like you're kind of like drilling in on your messaging or like following up with people or educating on the business or the brand. And then I think really like playing with that, knowing like, okay, Mercury's retrograde these dates, it happens 3 to 4 times a year. It's like retrograde a quarter of the year, which is significant.
It is significant.
Yeah, and that's a quarter of the year where it's basically saying like, do not do anything important. Like
Yep.
really schedule around those times. Like you will
Yep.
notice the difference. Those are two very, very simple things. And then this year we've got the Venus retrograde, which really is like on par with the Mercury retrograde. It just doesn't happen as often. Um,
Well, yeah, and I would say that, one of my biggest things with astrology and even slipping into like the belief of it, if that's something that people are struggling with, is like you said, experimenting and paying attention in retrospect and going, oh, yeah, this happened and it's happening again, like paying attention. It took me several times to really take Mercury retrograde seriously. Like it took a while. And because you know this, I worked for an astrologer
mhm.
and they were very, no, don't do this and don't do this. And you got to double check and everything and triple check everything. And we're not doing any tech and da da da. And I was like, whoa, you need to like just get a
Yeah.
grip and hold your horses. And then all of the things started happening, and I was like, okay, maybe you're not insane.
Yeah.
So, like, experimenting with it is huge, I
I
would
think
say.
so too. And I would like when you're experimenting, I would also say like try to start small. Like don't experiment with something that's like a fundamental aspect of your business, you know?
Yeah.
Like or
Yep.
your just personal life either. Like like experiment with it in like fun ways, you know? Like one like funny way I heard an astrologer, oh god, Chris Brennan I think said this, where he was like during Mercury retrograde like, order order like Uber Eats or something, and you'll see it shows up late, or the order's wrong or something, or like the day it goes
Yes.
retrograde or whatever. Like little
Yes.
things like that where it's like it's not that big of a deal, you know?
Yeah,
You
just
don't
to
want to
see.
Yeah, because that's how you're gonna notice the patterning of it and like how it truly will show up for you. Like
Yep.
and it really does change for everybody. Like I was born in a Mercury retrograde. 1 in 4 people are. It's like not it's common.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon.
Uh-huh.
I know.
Yeah.
Um,
Shh.
but like terrible, terrible. Um, but like so Mercury retrograde doesn't it's like I feel very smooth actually. It's funny because I'll notice a lot of other people around me kind of like having their little like time with Mercury retrograde, but it usually treats me very well because it's what I was born in. So it's my normal type of energy. I
Yeah.
experience Mercury retrograde more in the shadow periods, which is like
Yeah.
before and after, which I want to get
Yep.
into that. But most potently like the day it like stations retrograde or comes out of retrograde. Those 2 days, Mercury's just like stopped in the sky. That's good for nobody. Like I
Yeah.
have Mercury is travel, transit, transportation as well, which it doesn't show up like that for a lot of people. I don't feel like just like as a lifelong theme, but it does for me. I have had
Yeah.
multiple car accidents the day Mercury went retrograde. So my battery fail on me, like crazy weird things have happened. I literally do not take any mode of transportation. I've had a scooter accident on the day Mercury went retrograde. A
That's
scooter.
insane. Yeah.
Like I mean like nuts. So I just don't do it anymore.
And again, it's like over this, like it's like the pattern. It's over time that you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I should probably not, like, because this happens every time, right? And that's the big thing I've learned over time. But like I said, that's why Mercury retrograde is my big thing. Every time I've had a client cancel, every time I've had launch issues, every time a project needs changed in a big way, it's always because it's been like incepted during that period. So right now, like I'm in, because we were in retrograde and I had a bunch of conversations, I told everybody, let's table this until the 30th. Like, till we're
Yeah.
well out of shadow, well out of everything. I'll reach back out after then. I have several people, but I'm like, I'm not signing a proposal. We're not getting any deposits. We're not doing any of that until we hit, because I don't have the time, honestly, to redo anything or the
That's
energy.
exactly it. Cause like
Yeah.
I often see like I'm like getting your chart pulled back up because I'm like, did you were you born in Mercury retrograde? I can't remember.
No,
Um
no, I was not, thank God,
okay.
because mine would be a
Because
wreck.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
like you definitely I feel like are like experiencing like real Mercury retrograde stuff. Um I think like a lot of times nothing goes wrong, right? Like a meeting will happen and it's like, okay, fine, whatever. But like something will go wrong later and it has to be
Yes.
redone, right? Like, or it's like
Yes.
a little thing and it could just be annoying to deal with.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like
Yeah.
everything's going, it can be
Yeah.
so annoying.
Or things will get drug out, like it'll just take
Yeah.
much, like it affects it, like compounds it later, where it's like,
Hmm.
okay, in the immediate situation, totally fine, whatever, we might have some tech glitches, whatever. And then as it goes, it's like 3 months later and you're like, why is this still going on, or why do we have to do this, or it was just weird things you don't ever anticipate. So
Hmm.
if anybody gets anything out of this, Mercury retrograde is not your friend when it comes to this. I don't care who tells you what, just don't do it. um, but actually, I want to talk about, so before we get into some readings, I've got a couple people still on here. Everybody, if you would like a mini reading, we're going to spend the next about 30 minutes doing these. If you'd like a mini reading, make sure that you comment your name, birth date, birth time, and birth location.
Hmm.
Name, date, time, location, all associated with your birth. So
Yeah. Although
go ahead and comment those in. Go ahead.
I don't even really need name. I just put it in as
I
like
was just
a
going to do it
general
so you could
name.
address them.
Oh no,
So you
no,
could
no,
talk
no,
to them.
nice. Yeah, I'm just yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
you could skip your
To
name.
limit.
Yeah, whatever.
No, yeah,
That's
like
fine.
no, no, that'd be good, especially like on
Um,
your end where I can't see who's saying anything.
oh yeah. So if you want to,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
if you
yeah.
would like a reading, go ahead and put in your. Okay, I just got one, so we'll go back to that. But I want to pitch this real quick because Ryan and I are working on something together. So we are working on a calendar that you'll be able to subscribe to for astrology and business. So you can bolt this calendar onto your regular old, Google Calendar that will show you when retrograde is, when Venus retrograde is coming out. That whole thing is going on. just any really significant aspects, new moon, full moon, like all of these things that really would be associated with your business. So you have the ability to go, okay, this is the best time for me to do this. This is the best time for me to take a work vacation, whatever it happens to be. So we are working on that. I will have a link posted on my bio. Ryan will have one probably on his bio. We're going to start pushing this stuff out, but it is coming. So it's ready to go. There'll be a wait list that we're getting ready. People can sign up for. And I will have that on the replay of this on YouTube. And then I also go following this. We'll have it up on my links on TikTok and on Instagram. But you'll start to see more about that. We're excited about it. Ryan, do you have anything to add to that?
Just so excited about it. I'm like really planning out the transits right now. I'm putting in void of course moons, to be honest.
Yes.
So going all in.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
No, I'm stoked. Okay, sweet. So I actually have 2 people that put their information in already. Do you have anybody?
I have one as well. Yeah. So let's do one of yours, and then I'll do mine, and then
okay,
the
sweet.
Other one.
Okay, so we're gonna do CC.
Okay, CC.
So yeah, she is July 11th, 1989.
Okay. Time.
3:30 a.m.
And where?
Santa Clara, California. And we're going to keep these to the 12th house. So we'll talk about specifically what we were talking about before.
Love. Yeah, people never talk about the 12th house. Okay, well, how funny, because we were just talking about this too. So CC is a Gemini rising, meaning Taurus is a sign before Gemini. So Taurus falls in your 12th house, CC. So you don't have anything in your birth chart in the 12th house. However, Jupiter just on May 16th entered Taurus, and it will be there until May of next year, an entire year. This is so beautiful. I love Jupiter in the 12th house in general. Like people who have it in their birth chart, they just seem like they have like a padding around them their whole life long. Like they're just wrapped in bubble wrap or something. Like nothing, no harm can come their way. Because the 12th house is the most abstract house to explain. It rules everything that's not of the physical world. So it's like energy. And so like angels live there, aliens live there, all sorts of things are in the 12th house that are kind of like inexplicable. But Jupiter, I always view as like the guardian angel of your birth chart. Like wherever it's at in your birth chart, it's kind of saying, you're going to be fine. You will land on your feet here. So for the next year, Jupiter in your 12th house, a guardian angel in the house of angels, quite literally means you got an angel looking over you. Like really. And like the 12th house is where, our ancestors or passed on loved ones kind of come in. Like you just may feel a presence that just feels beyond you. Sometimes it can feel like like somebody's like a puppet master in your life, and your moves are not your own, or like your luck isn't your own. Like you're like, I don't know why these good things are happening to me, because Jupiter is a benefic, lucky, joyful planet. And so like it's the house of miracles. Like really beautiful miracles can happen. This is a once in every 12-year thing. So here's your 1 year of really great luck, just kind of coming effortlessly when you least expect it, out of the blue, totally unexpected stuff in the 12th house. But this is very positive. And in Taurus is the sign of like your resources, money, currency. So this can absolutely expand your material life in ways that you can't even conceptualize right now. Money can come your way that you're like, somebody owes me this, or it's just a great year to, in general, kind of like bolster like your physical surroundings, and experience a little bit more sensuality in life, which is the 5 senses. Like you'll enjoy really good music. Like art is going to start mattering a little bit more to you out of nowhere. Like your tastes are going to kind of lean a little more occult and spiritual and esoteric, I guess, mystical. And it's going to, I don't know, you're going to find a lot of meaning in things. The universe is showing up in your physical world through like signs and symbols this year. It's really cool. So you just kind of want to like go with the flow.
I'm jealous.
It's
really?
So fun. I know.
Okay.
I love Jupiter in the 12th.
Is that resonating, CC? Okay, good. Oh, she said, "Wow, thank you." Good.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to go ahead with yours on your end?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ideal strontium. I hope I'm saying that right. Okay, let me
While
get
you're
chart
inputting that, I'm
data.
just going to tell everybody if they'd like if they'd like a reading to input their information. So if you are listening in right now, if you'd like a mini reading, we're going to be on here for another 20 minutes. You can enter your information in the chat. Enter your name, your birth date, your birth time, and your birthplace. If you would like a mini reading, they're about 5 minutes. They're going to be business associated, so we're going to talk about in the 12th house. You enter your name, birth date, birth time, and birthplace, and we'll make sure to fit you in. We'll probably cut those off in another 10 minutes or so. So anybody that's in here, if you'd like a reading, go ahead and put your information in now because we want to make sure we can get everybody in.
Sweet.
In the meantime, did you get it all set up?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
We're in the 12th house, which is a very protective, like nurturing energy. It's like somebody who's very psychically tapped in as well. Your chart in general is quite like good intuition going on here. You have Venus in your 12th house, and you know it's going to be Cancer season here pretty soon. So I'm looking at when the sun hits your Venus, because we just entered Gemini season, so we're still like a month away from this. But when the sun crosses Venus in your 12th house in Cancer, somebody kind of comes out of the wood in your life and does something that really shows they care in a really big way. Like, I had no idea like I meant that much to you. Start seeing somebody in your life very differently. But there's someone like you might have just like I try to not over exaggerate things too much, but I like try to give you all possible ways that this might show up. But in a mundane sense, this could just be that you have a conversation with somebody that's like open and honest and vulnerable, and you like kind of just connect emotionally with them. um and you're like, God, I never like ever thought I would have like bonded with this person, like you kind of, it's something you probably know but would gloss over typically. I would say it could, I guess, be, if it's somebody new, it's going to be probably a more like feminine energy, like a mother figure type person, like an older woman, but it probably a feminine type person who has a very like protective, nurturing, kind of motherly vibe about them if it's new. Otherwise, you're just getting that really like beautiful bonding experience with somebody. So this is going to happen for you on basically July 1st. So really like June 30th, July 1st. And those are really good days astrologically in general for what that's worth. So I definitely think that play a role for you. You know what? And let me see one quick thing too about this, because where at the moon rules Cancer, so it's gonna explain more about like where this is gonna play out for really quick. Hold on. 6:30. Your fifth house, which is the house of children. So figure like your own mother, if you are still connected with your mom, coming in because the sun and Mercury are together also that day, exactly conjunct. The sun and Mercury together are in your natal Venus. That's like new. You will probably be approached by someone. News will be delivered to you from somebody who feels very comforting. And it just is going to make you happy. With the moon in the fifth house is the house of happiness, bliss. It's an inherently good, positive space. So this is like very, it's going to make you feel taken care of.
Yay! Love that. How do we just let
I
us
hope
know
that,
how that
does that
resonates?
make sense?
Yeah, let us know how that resonates. So I've got another one in here. I've got two more that are listed.
Cool.
I don't know how many. Have you gotten any more?
Just
okay,
one.
Great. So we'll do this, and then I'm actually going to close them out. So we'll just have these next few, so we have enough time. So I have Maria Gabrielle, and her birthday is 2/6/94. And we have,
Cool.
she said 2 a.m. ish. So can we just do 2 a.m.? Is that
We'll
fine?
see. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it depends. We'll see.
Yep.
Where at?
And then, is it Met? I never know how to say this. Metieri, Louisiana. Metairie. She's straight out of an Anne Rice novel. Because
I've never even heard
you
of
read
this.
that like, yeah, you read that like every.
Airie.
Yes, Metairie.
Got it.
Louisiana. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Okay. 30 minutes before 2 a.m. things would change a little bit. But as far as like what I've got here now, you have Scorpio in the 12th house, which is an intense energy. And like you're really meant to lean into your 12th house. Basically, you have Jupiter there. Scorpio is somebody who is super, I mean, Scorpio is the psychic sign. The 12th house is the house of spirituality and mysticism. Jupiter's the planet of faith. Like you are somebody who definitely believes in like the weird, whimsical stuff. I would say like you have Pluto in here as well, which anybody who's like quote unquote a millennial essentially has Pluto in Scorpio. But you also have the North Node. That's like a big key indicator for me. Like that, the North Node is like very exact sense it's your life purpose. But really it's like what you're learning to like increase in this life. Your soul really wants to grow more of this energy. So you really are like here to kind of share as much like esoteric knowledge as you possibly can and to really just like tap into the unseen parts of life. A big part of like your life will be in like subliminal messaging. Like Scorpio is it's like the detective, like they're seeing all the clues that everybody else misses. You know, like Scorpio rules X-rays because it sees the surface of anything. So you have a very like intuitive, and you're really meant to like lean in, which is not super easy because the North Node's there, like the North the thing you're supposed to incorporate in this life or like a life purpose kind of moment fate, it's naturally difficult to like fully lean into it, but there's so much good luck there. Like as you also like pay attention to like signs from the universe. Everybody's like so mystical right here.
I love it.
Well, I mean, it's the 12th house. Like I guess what else do you expect? It's that part of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're gonna of the universe in really cool ways. One thing I would tell you is like there's such a secret element to Scorpio, and the 12th house really is like secluded space. So there for you, I think like the weird like mist in, you really need to find like great, very trusted people who you know are like on that same wavelength as you, to confide in about those experiences that you have. Otherwise, if you're trying to like tell anybody and everybody about like, oh my God, I followed the signs yesterday, I had this crazy thing happen to me, people are gonna like really dilute what you're experiencing, and it will remove the magic of it for you, and you might stop like paying attention to the signs, you know, and like following your gut instinct because people are gonna make you sound a little crazy for it, you know, like 12th house is where we can go psychotic, or we're just experiencing like a really beautiful, like I don't know, cause rhythm, you know, like rhythm for sure. It's literally like your purpose to like to the beat of the universe's drum in your life. It's not everybody's song. You know what I mean? So like, there's something beautiful about like keeping like privacy, like your relationship with the universe is a personal thing in the universe or whatever you want to believe in, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day. If you've got a couple trusted people who you can confide in who get that, then cool. But it's not about sharing, I guess, like the weird things through, you know, that it there's keeping like secrets for yourself, you know. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, Maria, let me know if that resonates. We've got one more from you, Ryan, and then I have one more on my end, and we can
Yeah, I got
wrap her
one.
up.
All right, Nick, that's one of mine.
Okay, everybody.
Uh,
So I'm Eric Quigley. I'm a creative director out of Sarasota, Florida. This is Ryan Marquart. He is of Ryan's Astrology, so he is a professional astrologer. We connected because he is from in the past life. He was in the creative realm, so he knows exactly what we go through as creatives. So, but we are working on an astrology calendar that is specifically for business. So that will include all of the aspects and new moon, full moons, retrogrades, all those good things that you can apply to your business. So that's going to be launching, and we have a wait list that's setting up. So be sure to check out both of our profiles for that after this. And you should also be following us. Follow me at Uncommon Crowd on TikTok and on Instagram, and Ryan's Astrology for Ryan on Instagram and TikTok. Correct? Both of them?
mm-hmm.
Or is it your
Instagram's
personal? It's your
my
personal on
actual.
Instagram.
Yeah, it's Ryan. I have the other handle. I should just switch it at this.
You just
I
have
don't know.
it. So either way, make sure you're following both of us. So are you ready?
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
An interesting one. I saw here. So you have Aquarius in your 12th house, which, Aquarius has honestly been going through a whole lot of crazy stuff for the last few years. Um, that the 12th house is such a, I mean, private space, but like Saturn was going through there until March 7th of this year. Saturn had been in Aquarius for 2.5 years. Saturn seeks to isolate us. Aquarius owner, and the 12th house is where we feel like a sense of exile. So you might have had a very lonely like last couple years, which like it ended March 7th, like it's moving on now. Um but I ideally that like maybe it's not it shouldn't be isolation. It should be a sense of solitude, like a peacefulness of being by myself. Like just because I'm alone lonely, right? So I hope that that's something kind of gathered over the last couple of years. Now, Pluto has entered, which is a huge deal. There's so much to say about that, and there's not even a whole lot I can say about it yet, because Pluto has not been in Aquarius for 250 years. It just entered Aquarius and Saturn left there, and so it was March 23rd. So got into Aquarius in your 12th. It's now retrograde, and it's going to back up into Capricorn, where it's been for the last 15 years, on June 10th. Just this little bit of time this year, March 23rd through June 11th, where Pluto taken for your 12th house. And this is a sneak the next 20 years of your life, like in a very way. I would say like a big part of this, Pluto excavates. Like it will kind of rip them out from that are no good and that like are just like dead and gone, things that you've been trying to get rid of yourself because you know it's no good for you, or like you just like kind of struggle to like, get rid of, or you turn a blind eye to on purpose because it's like a guilty pleasure type of thing maybe. But Pluto wants to like purify you. That's its job. It's destruction, but also just. But honestly, 12th house gets destroyed is so because the 12th house is the house of self destruction. Basically, it's like our sabotaging behaviors, vices, addictions of any kind, right? Like somebody who games in their room for 12 hours, right? Kind of it's because they like remove themselves from reality. So if you have something that you're really overdoing it on, or like if you're almost taking sense of solitude that you've been learning the last few years to an extreme now, and you're like self Pluto might come in here and say like, like you cannot like hide away in your room for the next 20 years. Like we're gonna put you out in public now, because Aquarius, yeah, it's the, but it also rules groups. Like it's such a conundrum of a sign. It needs like its space and freedom to be an individual. It champions the individual and all of us, but it also knows that like groups matter, societies exist and are important for lean on like community, but a community is of individuals, You're kind of, I think Pluto's going to help you not feel anymore. Ideally, feeling that since March a little bit, you're only getting in June 11th, and then it goes away for the rest of this year. But then starting next year, you basically come into your own, like finding a very great sense of peace with a community of very like-minded people, I think, but also feeling like uh I don't know, like you got like a good sense of a detachment from the world, like, sense of it. Like, there will be no more self-destructive behaviors happening starting really next year, and hopefully you're getting some sort of inkling of like what's getting the best of you. That's probably the biggest thing I would ask you. What do you feel like is getting the best of you right now in life, like totally preventing you being like a person who's out in the world doing the things you want to do, like being productive in society, um, blocking your connectivity with other people, especially since March 23rd, June 11th. And then there's nothing really you need to do about it. I think the rest, but starting January, you got 20 really like, I don't know, coming into a really beautiful, who are going to be supportive, a healthy of yourself. I hope.
That sounds amazing. All these sound like great right now. Like, and I have one. We have one last one. Uh, this is Marie, Graphic Muse. I don't know if you're ready for me or not. Okay, so she's from Athens, Greece.
Cool.
Birthday is July 4th, so 7/4/83. Birth time is 1:45 a.m.
Pisces in the 12th. Okay. So this is intense. Pluto in Pisces. Um, hold on. I messed something up with the date.
You need me the information again?
Oh, oh, that's why. Okay, hold on. No, I got it. Okay, thank
Okay.
God. Okay. Cool. So yeah, you is in the 12th house. So this is funny. It's like almost the opposite of the one I was just talking about because Pisces it just entered Pisces March 7th. It will be there for 2.5 years. So less than that now. And really likes house. Like it is a planet illusion and it kind of severs us from things, but it gives us really good boundaries from really protect us, I think, from problem in life. In other houses, it will bring problems. But the 12th house is called the joy of Saturn. Saturn likes its isolation in the 12th house. It likes to feel like I'm removed from society. It's going to be a very like daydreamy like couple years for you. Pisces is the sign of the visionary and like it believes in fantasy and like it idealizes romance and like it's just got larger than life way of viewing the world. And so I think maybe be a little too ideal in some instances. Uh, it's really cool because like Pisces literally rules 12th house is the house of dreams. Saturn makes things real. So like it literally takes an idea and brings it into physical matter. Like if you have this idea, I want to write a book one day, and then you write a book, what Saturn's doing, took it from idea to physical. So where everything is non-physical, you have the planet of physicalization. Is that even a word? I've literally brought this word up
Physicality?
like, yeah, yeah, but why isn't physical a word? Said this like five
It
times in
might
the last
be.
couple of weeks. I don't know if it is. I need to look it up. But I wrote it down because I'm gonna like think about that word. I don't know why it's like coming up constantly now. Um, physicalization. You have the planet of physicality. It is physicality. I know that. In the house, non-physical. This is the most spiritually tapped in. It's the 12th sign. It's in your 12th house. There's like spiritual affinity going on there. But Saturn, like you could have like prophetic dreams, you know, like really is kind of a couple years right now of like sort of not to abide by society's norms and kind of thinking, well, how can I transcend like these weird like societal norms and kind of like live life in my way because like I don't want to have to abide by like things that everybody else kind of has to deal with. You obviously are a person living in the world, follow rules of some sort, like obey the law, like 12, and so you don't want to go to you won't because Saturn loves the 12th house, right? It's the joy of Saturn. So you're going to like have nice moments of isolation, not like troublesome moments. Um but I think like probably like the big thing for you truthfully is like if you can dream it, you can do it. So I would say like Jupiter rules Pisces. It's the biggest planet in the solar system. It seeks to expand you. Saturn here is going to try and make whatever you are expanding real and show up for you. Your intentions and thoughts matter. I'd make a vision board if I were you. Seriously, like Pisces works off of visualization. And so if you're taking like an energy of something you want in your life and you put it into physical form, that's you using Saturn, right? And like taking it from this idea or vision into physical matter, and then like that life will start to materialize for you in a magical weird way. It's not always going to be apples to apples, right? Like if you put Jennifer Aniston on your mood board, doesn't mean you're going to turn into Jennifer Aniston. Like but you're trying to like be like her or the essence of her or something. And you'll notice like more Jennifer Aniston like magazine ads or something. Like weird little messages will start popping up in your physical reality because of like the visions that you're having for where you want your life to go. So I would think big. I would seriously think big. Even though Saturn seeks to limit and restrict us, it'll still do that because it's going to eventually focus you in onto what actually matters, like what visions are probably best aligned for you. But for the start of this, because you got a couple years, I would say for the rest of this year, think big, dream big, uh, no limits to where you can take your life. I
That's a
fully believe
really
that.
that's a really good ending one. I feel like that was
Yay.
a nice little button. Well, everybody, we have got to wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us, Ryan. This has been a pleasure. It was the last
A
time, and I hope
pleasure
we
as
get to do it
always.
again, just because
Yeah.
it's fun.
Oh, we
But
will.
in a kind of last go here. So Ryan and I, this is Ryan Marquart. He is of Ryan's Astrology. Go to his website, ryansastrology.com. Go book with him. He's amazing, as you can tell by the readings he just did. But I'm Eric Quigley. I'm a creative director out of Sarasota, Florida. You can follow me at Uncommon Crowd on TikTok or on Instagram. You can also follow Ryan on TikTok at Ryan's Astrology. But we are partnering and working on a business astrology calendar that will give you all of the dates, all of the things necessary to implement astrology. Pretty sure we're working on some more layman terms for how things get put out there. So anybody that doesn't understand astrology can start to implement things. So we will have those links available. We'll have them up on this video. I'm going to have it in the link in my profile. Ryan will have it out a couple of places. And we'll go ahead and hopefully get everybody signed up on the wait list, and we'll let you know when it drops. But that's coming very soon. We're super excited about it. Ryan, do you have anything to add before I pull our plug?
No, just that I like appreciate you and your ability to understand the benefit of astrology in business.
Absolutely.
Like you are practically applying something that I think is of great benefit, and I'm really glad that you're helping like bring it in an accessible way to people. So thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Oh, of course. No, my pleasure. I'm totally down with it. I love it. Love me some astrology. Okay, everybody. Have a fantastic Tuesday. Have a fantastic week. I hope to see you all soon. Ryan, we're going to unplug from TikTok, and then we'll unplug from Riverside, and then we'll
Perfect.
call it a day, okay? All right. Bye,
Cool.
everybody. Thanks so much for being here. All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so I'm going to end on there.